Shadows of Betrayal, Sofia's Awakening. Sofia Ramirez had always been the pillar of her family, the quiet force that held everyone together with threads of love, sacrifice, and unwavering support. At 70 years old, she lived in a modest two-story home in the suburbs of Los Angeles, surrounded by the sprawling chaos of the city that never slept. Her days were filled with the simple rhythms of retirement, tending to her small garden of roses and herbs, baking empanadas from her late mother's recipe, and scrolling through family photos on her outdated iPad. But beneath that serene exterior lay a web of obligations that had slowly eroded her sense of self. It started innocently enough years ago, when her granddaughter Isabella graduated high school. Isabella, with her bright eyes and ambitious dreams, had been Sofia's pride and joy since the day she was born. "Abuela, I want to go to college," Isabella had said, her voice trembling with excitement. "But it's so expensive. Mom and Dad can't afford it all." Sofia's daughter, Maria, and her husband, Carlos, nodded in agreement, their faces etched with feigned worry. Without hesitation, Sofia dipped into her savings, money she'd scrimped and saved from her years as a school teacher, and the life insurance payout after her husband Pablo's passing from cancer a decade earlier. At first, it was tuition checks for community college. Then, as Isabella transferred to a state university, the requests grew: books, housing, incidentals. Sofia wrote check after check, wiring money through apps she barely understood, always with a smile. It's for her future, she'd tell herself, ignoring the way her bank balance dwindled. Maria and Carlos praised her endlessly. "You're the best abuela in the world," Isabella would text, followed by heart emojis. Family gatherings were filled with toasts to Sofia's generosity, but over time, those gatherings became sparse. Invitations to Isabella's campus events dried up. "Too busy with classes," they'd say. The turning point came one rainy afternoon in early 2024. Sofia, feeling an unusual dizziness, had a minor stroke, a transient ischemic attack, the doctors called it. It left her with a slight slur in her speech for a few weeks and a prescription for blood thinners, but her mind remained sharp as ever. During her hospital stay, Maria visited once, her eyes darting to Sofia's purse as if checking for the wallet. Isabella sent a bouquet with a card. "Get well soon, abuela. Love you tons, but no visits." Upon returning home, Sofia decided to surprise Isabella with a visit to her dorm in San Diego, where she was supposedly studying marine biology. Armed with homemade tamales and a heart full of anticipation, Sofia drove the 2 hours south. What she found shattered her illusions. The address led to a luxury apartment complex with a pool, gym, and ocean views, not a student dorm. Peeking through the gate, she saw Isabella lounging by the pool with friends, laughing over cocktails. No textbooks in sight. Confused, Sofia called Maria. "Mom, it's not what you think," Maria stammered over the phone. Isabella needed a better place to focus. The dorms were too noisy, but Sofia pressed, and the truth unraveled like a frayed sweater. The tuition money had funded not just education, but a lifestyle: parties, designer clothes, weekend trips to Vegas. Isabella had dropped out after 2 semesters but kept the facade going. Maria and Carlos had even encouraged it, dipping into the funds themselves. For family emergencies that suspiciously aligned with their new SUV and home renovations. Sofia's world tilted. That night, back in her quiet home, she pored over bank statements. Over 5 years, she'd given nearly $150,000, her entire nest egg. The betrayal stung like salt in a wound. How could they? She whispered to Pablo's photo on the nightstand. For the first time, she felt the weight of her isolation. Friends from her teaching days had drifted away, and family was all she had, or thought she had. The next morning, Sofia made a decision. She called her bank and froze the accounts. No more wires, no more checks. When Maria called in panic, Sofia's voice was steady. "It's over. I've given enough. Isabella needs to learn responsibility." The response was swift and vicious. Calls turned to accusations. "You're confused from the stroke, Mom," Maria said. "You don't know what you're doing." Isabella texted, "Abuela, this isn't you. We love you. Don't let the doctors mess with your head." Within weeks, the family filed for guardianship in Los Angeles Superior Court, claiming Sofia's diminished capacity due to the stroke made her unfit to manage her affairs. They painted her as a senile old woman, manipulated by new influences, though there were none yet. Sofia received the papers by certified mail, her hands shaking as she read the cold legalese. Guardianship would strip her of control over her finances, her home, even her daily decisions. It felt like a death sentence. But Sofia wasn't done fighting. She remembered a flyer from her doctor's office about elder abuse resources. With trembling fingers, she dialed the number for California's Adult Protective Services. A kind social worker named Elena listened to her story, her voice warm and reassuring. "You're not alone. Mrs. Ramirez, this happens more than you think," Elena connected her to a pro bono lawyer. From the Legal Aid Society, a sharp young attorney named Javier Torres, who specialized in elder law. Javier met Sofia at a coffee shop in Glendale, his eyes lighting up with determination as she laid out the evidence, bank records, text messages, even photos from her ill-fated visit to San Diego. "This isn't just about money," Javier said. "It's financial elder abuse under California law. We can fight this." He arranged for a psychiatric evaluation, where Dr. Lena Kim, a geriatric specialist, confirmed Sofia's full cognitive competence. "Mrs. Ramirez is sharper than many half her age," the report read. Sofia also started therapy with a counselor who helped her unpack years of emotional manipulation, the guilt trips, the exclusion from family events unless money was involved. As the court date approached, Sofia found unexpected support. At a senior center support group Elena recommended, she met other women with similar stories, daughters who saw them as ATMs, sons who isolated them for inheritances. One, a retired nurse named Rosa, became her confidant. "We reclaim our lives together," Rosa said, hugging her. For the first time in years, Sofia laughed freely, shared stories without fear of judgment. These new friends bolstered her, reminding her that love wasn't transactional. The trial in LA Superior Court was a spectacle of suburban drama. The courtroom, with its polished wood panels and stern bailiff, felt like a stage from a TV legal show. Maria and Carlos sat on one side, Isabella between them, her face a mask of feigned concern. Their lawyer, a slick man named Mr. Harlan, opened with tales of Sofia's decline. The stroke? Forgotten birthdays. Erratic decisions like cutting off funds. "Our clients act out of love," he claimed, "to protect Mrs. Ramirez from herself." Javier countered fiercely. He presented the bank records, irrefutable, proof of the siphoned funds. Dr. Kim testified to Sofia's mental acuity, debunking claims of confusion. Sofia's therapist spoke of the emotional abuse, gaslighting, isolation tactics straight from abuse manuals. Then came the bombshell. Hidden audio from Sofia's phone, recordings of calls where Maria threatened, "If you don't help, we'll put you in a home." The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Judge Alicia Vargas, raised an eyebrow, her expression hardening. When Sofia took the stand, she felt a surge of strength. Dressed in her best Sunday suit, her silver hair neatly pinned, she spoke clearly. "I gave because I loved them," she said, her voice echoing in the quiet room. "But love shouldn't come with a price tag. They took my money for luxuries while I skipped doctor visits to save. When I said no, they called me crazy. But I'm not. I'm just done being used." Mr. Harlan's cross-examination was brutal. "Isn't it true the stroke affected your memory?" he pressed. Sofia met his gaze. "My memory is fine. I remember every check, every promise broken. What I forgot was my own worth, until now." The courtroom murmured. Isabella shifted uncomfortably, avoiding her grandmother's eyes. In closing, Javier painted a vivid picture. "This isn't concern, it's greed. Under California's Welfare and Institutions Code, this is elder abuse. Mrs. Ramirez deserves her freedom." Mr. Harlan rebutted weakly, but the damage was done. Judge Vargas deliberated for an hour before ruling. "The evidence shows no incapacity," she declared. "The petition for guardianship is denied. Furthermore, I recommend adult protective services investigate potential financial abuse." Sofia's heart soared. Tears streamed down her face as Javier hugged her. "You did it," he whispered. Outside the courthouse, under the relentless LA sun, Maria approached, her face twisted in anger. "How could you do this to us, Mom?" Sofia stood tall. "How could you do this to me?" Isabella hung back, mumbling apologies that rang hollow. Carlos just glared. Sofia walked away, head high, into a waiting car from Rosa. Victory brought restoration. The court ordered repayment of $100,000 funds, traced to Maria's accounts. Sofia's savings, though depleted, were hers again. But more than money, she reclaimed her life. She sold her suburban home, the walls echoing with too many painful memories, and moved to a cozy condo in San Francisco with bay, views that sparkled like diamonds at dawn. The fog rolling in each morning felt like a fresh start. In her new life, Sofia blossomed. She enrolled in UCLA Extension art classes via online sessions, her fingers rediscovering the joy of painting, vibrant abstracts inspired by her Mexican heritage. Weekends found her volunteering at women's shelters in the Mission District, sharing her story to empower others. "You're stronger than you know," she'd tell tearful women, echoing the words that saved her. And then the backpacking trip through Europe, a dream deferred for decades. At 71, Sofia joined a senior adventure group, hiking the Cinque Terre in Italy, wandering Paris's streets, tasting paella in Barcelona. Her backpack held essentials and a journal where she wrote, "Self-worth isn't in tuition checks or family approval. It's in the steps I take alone, the views I earn myself." Back home, whispers reached her. Isabella got a job at a coffee shop. Maria and Carlos downsized to an apartment. Adversity, Sofia hoped, would teach them what her generosity couldn't: independence. Nights on her balcony, gazing at the Golden Gate Bridge lit against the stars, Sofia reflected on the woman she'd been, fearful, giving to buy affection. That woman was gone. In her place stood someone fierce, free. "My name is Sofia Ramirez," she'd say to her reflection. "I'm 71 and my story is just beginning." Expanded version, Shadows of Betrayal, Sofia's Full Awakening. Chapter 1, The Roots of Sacrifice. Sofia Ramirez was born in a small village in Mexico in 1955, the eldest of 5 siblings. Her family immigrated to the U.S. when she was 10, settling in East LA where her father worked in factories and her mother cleaned houses. Sofia learned early the value of hard work, excelling in school and becoming the first in her family to attend college on scholarships. She met Pablo at a community dance, his warm smile and steady job as a mechanic winning her heart. They married young, had Maria, and built a life of quiet stability. Pablo's death from lung cancer in 2014 left Sofia adrift. Maria, then 40, had her own family: Carlos, a mid-level manager at a logistics firm, and Isabella, a teenager with stars in her eyes. Sofia poured her grief into them, babysitting Isabella after school, helping with homework, funding extracurriculars. Family is everything, Pablo had always said, and Sofia clung to that. When Isabella graduated high school in 2019, the college talk began. UCLA or SDSU, Isabella dreamed. But costs soared, $30,000 a year. Maria confided, "We can't cover it all." "Mom, Carlos's job is shaky." Sofia, with $200,000 in savings from Pablo's insurance and her pension, offered help. The first check was $10,000 for tuition. Isabella hugged her tightly. "You're my hero, abuela." The requests escalated. "Room and board is extra," Maria said. Another $8,000. Then books, laptop, study abroad fees that never materialized. Sofia noticed oddities. Isabella's social media showed clubbing, not studying, but dismissed them. "She's young," she'd think. Cross-exam, Harlan grilled. Memory lapses? Sofia, only lapse was trusting them. Closings, Javier thundered against abuse. Judge Vargas, petition denied. Investigate petitioners. Victory hugs, tears. Chapter 5, A New Horizon. Repayments ordered, $100,000 back. Sofia sold home for $600,000. Bought SF condo for $450,000. Art classes, watercolors of bay sunsets. Volunteering, shelters, mentoring abused women. Europe trip, July 2025. Backpacked with group. Rome's Colosseum. London's Thames, Amsterdam canals. Journal entries, freedom musings. Family update. Isabella working retail, Maria and Carlos struggling. Sofia felt pity, not hate. Balcony nights, stars witness her rebirth. Self-love first, she affirmed.